doing better as a result of social media presence.
If it doesn't do those three things, then it's on the chopping block.
It's a return on investment discussion.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Daily Dealer Live. I'm your host, Sam Darkin. Back with us joining today, co-hosting is the Yuli DiMartino.
What's up,
welcome
guys?
Back. And what's up? For everybody joining the live stream today, that's you, every single one of our faithful viewing audience. We're live across all CDG social media platforms. Post those comments. We'll bring them into today's show because they do change the course of the show. Your questions level us up. And what a show we have in store for you today. Our Daily Dealer Live audience coming up today. Jeff Miller of Subaru comes to talk about selling one-price Subarus and also the Subaru Love Promise, the difference that is Subaru. I love this conversation. Also, DriveCentric CEO on CRM innovation. But before we go there, let's hit today's automotive headlines. All right, first up today in the news, AutoNation has picked up 2 luxury dealerships in Chicago from Fletcher Jones Automotive Group. Mercedes-Benz. Oh, I love it, by the way. Isn't that cool? Mercedes-Benz of Chicago and Fletcher Jones Audi in a deal advised by Presidio that closed September 15th. The move strengthens AutoNation's luxury footprint in the city, where they have multiple Benz locations. And for Fletcher Jones, the sale marks a sharper focus on its 13 remaining dealerships in California and Nevada. I love the Fletcher Jones organization. I worked with Fletch Jr. In a prior world, and it's interesting to see this empire. He's being very selective, and he's narrowing it down to the stores it seems that he wants to keep. He used to be in Hawaii, and as a rep for a Swiss-based insurance carrier, I used to travel to Hawaii to service that. That was tough work. Tough work,
Wow.
Yuli. Tough. Next up today in the news, Carvana has rolled out Shaq Bot.
Ooh.
It's an AI-powered car shopping assistant that, get this, Yuli, it uses Shaquille O'Neal's voice and personality to guide customers through browsing inventory and navigating the buying process. The tool blends Carvana's proprietary large language models with O'Neal's actual voice recordings, aiming to make the experience feel both more personal and entertaining. It's definitely a unique way to stand out as shoppers increasingly use AI tools like ChatGPT to research purchases. But the real question is whether Shaqbot will drive sales or just create buzz. Now, we had the roundtable with all the AI CEOs last Friday. This is an interesting example of using AI in a pretty unique and interesting way. And look, people are going to know they're not talking to Shaq. Nobody thinks Shaq is on the, but you can play around with it and you can have the conversation with them. I think that's pretty interesting. We went on and we said, hey, tell us about Daily Dealer Live. And he said, best live show on the internet anywhere, bar none. So Shaq can't be wrong, Yuli.
Yeah, listen, the most important part about this is that we're talking about it, right? So it's working already.
Yes, yeah. Wait, Yuli, there should be a Sam and Yuli AI
big time
integration or something somewhere.
We got to talk to Yossi and put it right
cool
on the CDG website, and you can ask Sam and Yuli questions.
I love it. Lauren Klein says, sounds intimidating. And then Jason comes on with a heavy dose of sarcasm saying, imagine that, not guiding your auto purchase. I love it. And remember, too, we announced the buy-sell activity. Go to buysell.com, cdgbuysell.com, to learn about all the buy-sell activity going on out there in the marketplace, today's world. So, all right, next up today in the news, new data from Escalent shows that extended range electric vehicles, they're also called EREVs, or vehicles that combine battery power, electric motors with small ICE engines, could accelerate the shift to electrification if consumers better understood how they work. Turns out more than 40% of car buyers are unaware of what an extended range electric vehicle actually is. Shocker. I don't think there's great education on any of it. And more than half, 55%, think they operate only on electricity. But automakers are leaning in. Ram is moving forward with an EREV pickup. Nissan's 2027 Rogue will feature its e-Power system. And Scout Motors says deposits for its EREVs are outpacing pure battery electric vehicles. Yuli, Scout, they're back. We keep hearing about them.
It's so cool looking also. I mean, a little controversial, right? But listen, I have to say, I'm going to weigh in mildly here. I think this is probably the future of adoption. And if we buy into the idea that EVs are going to dramatically reduce greenhouse gases, what better way than to have mass adoption, right? So something like this, that hybrid technology really is the next step of the future.
Yeah. Listen, we just got a message from the car dealership guy, Yossi. He says, consider it done when talking about the AI bolt-on. So I would say when you go to cardealershipguy.com at some point in the future and you want a tour around the website, you'll be guided by Yuli. You'll be guided by me, our AI virtual respondents. And then Jason Pittock says at Yossi, finally the answer for virtual F&I that works. Wait, Jason, is that Shaq or is that Yuli? That's the only question. So, all right, everybody, that's a wrap on this week's or today's news for this Wednesday, September 17th. Hey, as a reminder, we get a lot of requests to join the show, and we want all of you, all dealers that have an opinion on something or that are doing something great in the world to come on the show and share their perspectives. Please visit cdgguest.com, fill out the intake form to be considered for a future guest spot. You'll meet Michelle, our wonderful Michelle, who does all the scheduling, the intake.
The best.
She'll ask you some questions about your opinions, what you want to come on and talk about, and then we'll bring you on here on the show. And by the way, the more dealers with great opinions we get, the better this show ends up being. And again, great show today because we've got a one such hand raiser. So, all right, next up, Car Dealership Guy is back with our second annual NADA party happening in Las Vegas on Thursday, February 5th. It is the hottest ticket at NADA 2026 with special guests and top automotive personalities. We'll be there, Yuli. Come on. To be considered for a formal invite, just hit the link in the show notes, request to join, and fill out a questionnaire. Unfortunately, we can't fit everybody in the spot. Spots are limited. So RSVP today, and we hope to see you in Vegas. You'll be there, Yuli, right?
I'll be there.
I'll be there. We're good.
Full body, not just a bobblehead.
NADA is always a great time to meet other dealers, vendor partners, learn about new technology, learn about new tools, figure out ways to make automotive better. And I think this is the delta between businesses that just grow slowly over time and automotive, which is super fast to execute. We learn new things and we put those things into place. And that actually is an incredible segue to our first guest today, who is an execution ninja. We turn to Jeff Miller, CEO of Mark Miller Subaru. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jeff.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, excited to be on.
How do you like that setup, by the way?
Execution ninja.
Ninja. I don't know if I've been ever called a ninja before, but
I like it. You'll own it though, right? You'll take it.
Definitely.
All right. So Jeff, as we ask you our banner question, which we ask everybody as our lead number one question, how's biz? Answer that question and then just tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
It's been good. I mean, I wouldn't say great. I mean, I think the tariffs in the Subaru world, tariffs have been a little bit painful with us having to raise prices a little bit. Yeah. Service business, though, has been through the roof. I mean, we've been showing record months in service throughout the entire year. So we've been really leaning into our fixed operations and having a great year.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're a Subaru dealer. Tell us a little bit about how long your family and you have been in the Subaru world, because Subaru is very different from the other OEMs. We often talk about OEMs. We've had Nissan's heads of sales for Nissan and Infiniti on. We've had, we talk about Stellantis often, and then, Toyota, Lexus, the Honda, the likes. But Subaru is different.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll start with the fact I'm a Subaru retailer. I'm not a Subaru dealer.
Fair. Yes.
We do not call ourselves dealers out there. I know
Jeff Walters would not be happy with me.
No, Tom Dahl especially, because that was Tom Dahl's baby. But
a car
retailer guy doesn't sound as good. So it's not going to work for you guys. But we have been in the Subaru world almost as long as Subaru in the United States. My family picked up their Subaru franchise in 1971 on a coin flip. We love to tell the coin flip story. My dad would have been 21 years old and called into his dad's office and said, we have a chance to be either a Subaru dealer or a Honda store in Salt Lake City. So they flipped a coin. And the coin flip came up Subaru. And we always joke that the first 25 years of that coin flip were not a good coin flip.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But the second 25 years, we could not be happier, and it fits with our brand and our culture and who we are so well that we could not have a better partner than Subaru.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, and so your store is located in Utah. You're in northern Utah, so you're on the Wasatch Mountains, right?
Yep, we have the two stores in Salt Lake County, so right in Salt Lake City.
And it seems like Subaru fits that environment really well. The mountains, skiing, all of that.
Yeah, it used to be that it was the niche brand, right? Subaru was this niche brand for mountain environments, for people who need all-wheel drive and snow. And now it's not that anymore. Now it's a player in the market. We're chasing that 5% market share, which is Subaru's been goal for the last few years. And they really have figured out how to really appeal to everybody out there with a really good, high quality car, gets great gas mileage, that really just takes care of people.
Yeah. So one of the things that separates you from other retailers across the country is you are one price, and you decided to go one price some time ago. Tell us a little bit about that transition from negotiation to one price, and what pain were you looking to solve with that transition when you initially did it?
So we went to one price about 10 years ago. We transitioned on April 1st, 2014, which don't ever transition to something like that on April Fool's Day, but mistake learned, won't do it ever again. But we moved to it. Just everything we do is this going to help our employees? Is this going to help our customers? And then we worry about making money on it later. And by looking at that, there's no more thing to do that than one price, because you're looking at something, how to make this car buying experience as easy as you possibly can make it. I mean, we went from selling like everyone else does in 2-hour, 3-hour transaction times to, if someone knows what they're buying, they could be in and out of our store in 30, 45 minutes easily. Yeah. And you do it in a way where you have less salespeople doing it. So instead of having an average salesperson who's selling 10 to 12 cars a month, like most places, ours sell 14 to 16.
Beautiful.
Right. It takes this weird thing that customers hate, where it's, oh, let me go check with my boss and see if I can do that. And whether someone's actually going to check with their boss or not, question mark that. Yeah. But you come back to the desk, and customers are really baffled by it. Not as much for us anymore, because we have so many repeat customers coming back to it. But when we were first doing it, people were like, wait, you don't have to go talk to someone? It's like, no, we're going to do it all right here. And
it's the repeat business that's even more dramatic, right? I mean, I've come from an environment like that, and the repeat business, once they know who you are and they know that's your culture, it's astounding. The curiosity would be, why aren't more dealers or retailers trying to solve for this problem? I mean, it's all about the customer experience right now.
It's because most dealers out there feel like customers' number one issue is price, and it's just not. It's just not a true thing. I mean, there were studies out there when we first looked at it that we went into, and it was something like 15% of the U.S. population truly wanted to negotiate. Yet 98% of car dealers negotiate. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. So what you do is, as harsh it is to say, those 15% of people that truly want to negotiate, you tell them to go buy from your competitor.
Right.
And they're going to go.
Which, by the way, to somebody that wants to negotiate, telling them to go somewhere else, it just brings them.
It just makes them more mad.
So in your geography, I sold Saturns back before that went belly up in the 08 time frame. So in the late 90s, I sold Saturns, and it wasn't. So that was one price. And I remember people coming in saying, hey, you know what, throw in a free set of floor mats. Hey, you know what, one price, it's all we can do. That, you know, and you go back through the brand promise, you go back through the value statement, and people would really resonate with that, right? But you're right. There are a certain percent that just want to be able to negotiate, and it drives them nuts if they can't, right?
Yeah, and you're never going to get rid of those people. And some of those people, even when you say that, they still come in and then end up buying the car because you have the exact one they want. But in general, what we found is that those customers that we had, that we used to service and we used to negotiate, they'd get the best deal because they'd go back and forth 7 or 8 times and spend 10 days buying a car. They were our biggest problems in the service department.
Yeah.
So what you also were able to do by doing this is we saw our net promoter scores and our customer service scores and service go up after this, because you eliminated that customer from your database.
Yeah.
So one price selling is not new. Like, again, it's been around for decades. If it works so well, and if customers like it so much, why is it still not more widely adopted? Why do people still buy in dealerships where there's negotiation? Why do dealers still decide to negotiate?
Change. I think that most dealers don't like change, and they don't like they do it. And they're so afraid that by taking away that negotiation power and negotiation, they're going to lose gross and they're going to lose what they have. And what we were able to do is we maintained gross throughout the whole process. It did not affect our gross whatsoever, because the gross now became controlled by the store, not by an individual salesperson and their skill level. So we're setting the pricing, we're setting what it's going to be, and they don't have any effect on it. So no longer is a salesperson chasing gross. A salesperson is getting paid. We pay our salespeople on volume-based flats. So depending on how many cars they sell new, how many cars they sell used in each half, they get a higher flat retro back to the first one. So so our sales guys, we didn't do one price. I didn't like a lot of the one price models when I first looked at it, because it was like, oh, we're going to bring in a bunch of 20-year-old order takers that we're going to pay 35, 40 grand a year. And like, no, we can do one price and still have sales guys that make 150K a year. Like, it's still there.
So to that point, Jeff, what do you say to those that are skeptical of that model, who say, hey, you know what, you're going to train salespeople under this kind of stair-step program, and they're going to get really good at selling cars, and they're going to go somewhere else where they can negotiate and have the potential for a greater gross? Have you seen that? Has turnover been higher on the sales floor as a result?
We don't have turnover on our sales floor. There's no turnover. Yeah, we really don't have very little. We hire maybe 2 salespeople a year per store, 3 salespeople a year per store. And we don't hire a lot of new salespeople. It's all, I mean, my average salesperson on each of my sales floors is over 10 years.
Wow.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. You're taking the pressure off that salesperson by operating like this. How does that, now you said you didn't lose any gross all the way through. How does that translate into finance?
So finance, we've made a big push on finance in the last 12 months. I actually hired a new general manager for our group, for my 2 Subaru stores about December of last year. And he brought in a big focus on that, and a big focus on making sure we're selling to the market. And we try and run one price in the finance world as well, where there's no crazy start $1,000 gross on a warranty and discount $2,000. We don't do any of that stuff either. It's very set pricing in our finance world as well. So we've really been able to push that up to the thing where we're doing 14, 15, 1,600 a copy now on the back end as well, while doing this one price model.
Nice.
So in other places, you've talked about 3 guardrails that help you protect this one price model. What are the 3 guardrails that help you over this past decade that you've had it keep the consistency and keep the integrity of the program?
So the biggest thing in the integrity of the program has always been the leadership. Is that if the owner of the company, the general manager of the company, does not believe in one price and is going to balk away from one price for his friends or for someone else, it kills the whole program. Yeah. I used to, when we first started this thing, I would get a phone call as general manager at least once a week from a salesperson's desk, customer, because we told the salespeople, if the customer has a problem with it, they have my extension, call me. And so they call me and say, you're going to lose my deal for $50 or $100. And we would say a pretty simple thing. It's like, when you walked in the door, did they explain how we sell cars here? And I said, yeah, they did. And did they explain it again when we did your trade-in? Yeah, they did. So if I were to give you $50 off right now, it means that we're lying to you. Yeah. We've been lying to you since the moment you walked in the door. Like that, we're not going to do that. And then generally they would 90% of the time, you go, okay, thank you, appreciate it, and hang up. A lot of times they were surprised they were talking to the owner of the company, first of all. But that's the first guardrail, is being able to do that, is being able to keep the integrity of the program throughout. We've been a big part of the guardrails on the trade-in side of it as well. We do not over or under allow, because I know a lot of people that say they're one price dealers.
It's a big game. Yeah.
But they just over allow and under allow on trades, and that's how they mess with gross. And it's like, no, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it the right way and really take care of the program.
So Jeff, to your point about management buy-in, Yoga Cars commented here. He said, I went through one price conversion at a Toyota store 10 years ago. It didn't work out. Change of management killed the project. And I do think, you know, as with any change in retail, you probably see this as well as we do. Like, there's a period where everyone will test your resolve for a process or a way. And if you cave, to your point, once, it dies on the vine, right? And so how long would you say, thinking back to that decade ago when you implemented it, how long did it take for it to become so ingrained it wouldn't be reversed? You know, GM's trying to come in with an exception, or salespeople trying to push for that, or customers trying to test your resolve. How long did that take?
At least a couple of years, at least. I mean, I think I'll never forget a moment where when my dad was still involved in the organization. He's not anymore. He sold off to us a few years ago, but when he was still involved, probably 1 year into the process, one of our sales guys wanted to sit him down and talk to him and start telling him. And my dad says to him, he's like, "No, we're bought in on this." He's like, if we decide to go back on this, we're selling the stores. I was like, "Okay, Dad." Like Dad, it was like the only time I think I ever brought my dad into my office and like gave him a talking to, saying, "You can't say that."
Yeah.
But it needs to have that kind of resolve. It needs to have this idea that, and once we did it and they knew we were serious and you knew it was a year or two into it and then we weren't going back, we did lose 2 managers over it, because we lost 2 sales managers that didn't like it. They didn't like the idea. Like they loved the fight. Like they were those guys that loved the sales fight, and
adrenaline junkies.
Now you don't have the fight anymore. Like a sales manager's job now is training and doing trade appraisals.
Well, I mean, you shift the fight, right? The fight is less about price and it's more about value. What are you delivering to the customer? So, I mean, those guys that you lost, you didn't lose them, right?
You didn't lose anybody.
Better.
No, like,
go ahead. So, Jeff, this conversation is sparking a debate online, and I love it. And we're seeing it in the comments. So, Mike Brenton says, going through that in Volkswagen, they're changing everything, and now the store's going downhill. So, I don't know what Mike means on going downhill. If you want, post that in, and we'll bring that into the convo. But let's go to the bottom line, right? You have well-compensated salespeople that are retained, so they're staying, they're thriving. What does your net look like, or net to sales? Are you still profitable as a result?
I mean, especially since we've been able to get the finance side fixed up on the other side of it. That was always the issue, and that was always things my goal. I would love to have everybody be this, because I do worry a lot about our car industry, about when you see these other players like Carvana and CarMax that are coming in and doing this really, really well.
Yeah.
And people love it.
Yeah.
And when we're not doing it, it's a risk to the future of car dealers to not give that same quality experience when these outside players are coming in. We're running over 3% net to sales right now, both of our stores.
Wow.
Great.
Yeah, very good. Net to sales 3%. Well, so there you have it. So what, Jeff, would you say to a Toyota dealer or a Volkswagen dealer trying to go through it? Do you think it's different at Subaru, and Subaru helps with that because of and we'll get into this in just a moment, but the culture and the lifestyle of the OEM, do you think it's uniquely suited to this one price thing, and Volkswagen and Toyota are just destined to fail because not all dealers are on it? Or is this, to your point, a great way of taking automotive from transactional to value-based, and it defends the future of automotive overall, Jeff?
And I love how much you guys talk, especially on the shows, about value-based sales, because that's what we're all about. I mean, price, especially in our world, because we don't have price. Price is we do not have the bullet of price in our gun. Our sales guys don't have it, so it has to be value. And the advantage we have in Subaru is that Subaru's got the best value proposition in the industry. From what we have, from not only from the cars we sell and what we do on that side, but from the love promise and what we're doing in our communities and showing that we're more than just an auto retailer. It's such a great message that we have to put out there, and Subaru helps it with us. Our individual retailers do such a great job with it that it's a no-brainer to be able to sell value where you don't need to sell price.
Yeah. And what is Subaru's value proposition overall?
Subaru's value,
how would you characterize it?
From a customer standpoint, I mean, I think that we sell, it is a reasonably priced vehicle. We're kind of in the mid-level on price range. I think our lack of what we have is we don't have the breadth of models, and we're pretty niche in what we have model-wise, from a small SUVs to SUV. It'd be nice if we could expand into some other areas, but we're great gas mileage on it. Engineering, best in the business, best safety that there is in the business. I mean, we really do make the best cars in the industry, in my opinion.
And Subaru as a brand, as an OEM, has done a great job of making it not about the price, but making it about the value, giving back in unique and interesting ways. So I told you in the green room beforehand.
And I think that our relationships too, from as far as an OEM, I think we're number one in the industry now, as far as Toyota, Lexus, and us. As far as OEM relationships, everyone wants to be a Subaru retailer now because of how good Subaru's is a manufacturer to deal with. I mean, I can tell you right now, I'm on Subaru's dealer council, so it's a little different, but even if I wasn't, I could call Jeff Walters right now and he would pick up the phone and have a conversation with me. And that doesn't exist in General Motors and Ford and those other industries. Toyota maybe do a little bit. we're very lucky in my family because we roll Subaru and Toyota, so that's pretty good.
You picked
OEM
all.
standpoint.
You picked both of the brands. That coin should have been two-sided. You should have just taken both Subaru and Honda all those years ago.
I know. Right?
Those are three elite brands. I mentioned to you in the green room beforehand. So I'm the executive manager for our Subaru Fort Wayne store in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We just did a full remodel ground up. To your point about Jeff Walters, he's coming to the grand opening on Monday. We'll actually do the show live there from the store on Monday. But they really do support in a unique and interesting way. A couple comments online. Lauren Klein says the newest generation of buyers don't want to negotiate, and I would agree with that. And Alex says removes friction for the customer. Surprise one price isn't the standard. Sell the value compared to price, like Jeff says. And that is what's fascinating to me is if it's so good for the consumer, if it increases CSI or NPS, what doesn't make sense for more dealers to switch? What's the reverse side of that, right? What's the counter to that?
The worry that dealers have is that the guy down the street from me what I hear mostly when I talk to guys in my 20 group and talk to the thing is, I'm in a way more competitive world than you. Like the guy down the street just going to undercut me by $100 and take all the deal. It's like, if that's happening, then you're not selling value. You're not selling the value of your organization. I mean, I will tell you, I have the closest Subaru retailer in the country to me at my Midtown store in Subaru. It is 2.1 miles away.
Wow.
Like, we are 2 miles from each other, and we are both in a business for 50 years for Subaru.
Is that Nate Wade?
Nate Wade,
Nate Wade Subaru? Yeah. One of the biggest Subaru retailers alongside yourself, right? And
they were just bought by Ken Garff. Yeah, Ken Garff bought them now. So like they're now corporate store, I guess.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm fascinated by that acquisition. So I knew the prior owner pretty well. Like that was a well-run store. They sold a ton of cars.
Kurt Schneider did a great job running that store.
Can you imagine Garff coming in and saying, hey, we're going to improve on what Kirk did? Like he did it well enough that I would have a challenge paying whatever the multiplier was.
It was a lot. The number I heard was a big number. I don't know if I wouldn't have paid that multiplier. I know that.
No. But Garff is a large organization. They're well run.
They were really excited to get in the Subaru world. I think it's one of their first Subaru stores and trying to see what they can do in the Subaru. And they've got a good guy running it now. And it'll be fun to see what they're able to do. Like I'm really trying to work in our market because we're such a tight competitive market on how we can make ourselves less competitive against each other and more competitive against the other makes. And
that's the key.
So how do you do that? How do you do that? So you've got a collection of really effective Subaru dealers, and rather than race to the bottom in a market, how do you go out and say, hey, together we're going to win without it being a negative?
So one of the issues that Subaru's had is Subaru's had an advertising fund, right? So they give their money to the individual retailer to advertise versus having your Utah Toyota dealers and things like that. And we're trying to work with Subaru to work away from that and pilot some things, hopefully in the next 6 months or a year, to get us all advertising together as your Utah Subaru dealers or your Utah Subaru retailers, rather than us all running the same ad against each other.
Yeah.
Like we need to.
Well, that's
an
LMA, right? That's not new. That's not new though.
I remember when I was new car manager back in like 2007, 2008, back when we just had one store, when we still used to do newspaper. No one does newspaper anymore, but they used to go to the Salt Lake Tribune on a Saturday, and you would see 5 of the exact same Subaru ad with just different payments at the bottom and a different logo. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing, guys? Come on.
Yeah. All right. Last question up, and then we got to jump. What's the most misunderstood factory dealer issue, speaking of the Subaru retailer board, right now, and how should retailers respond?
Misunderstood factory issue. I mean, I think the biggest issue with OEM boards, and I would not necessarily specific to Subaru, is just the trust factor. I wish that there was more trust. Like I wish there was more trust between the retailers and the board, that we're all in this thing together. Like it's to full advantage for me to do as well as possible and for them to do as well as possible. It doesn't work if I'm doing really well and they're not doing really well. And it also doesn't work if they're doing really well and the retailers aren't doing really well. And you see that in a lot of manufacturers' brands, that makes you worry about those brands and the longevity of those brands.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. There is something confrontational and conflicting and competing about the OEM retailer model, but then there's also something in the competition that somehow makes both sides a little bit better. But I agree with you. There's got to be a way to align just a little bit more to help
And Subaru's done a great.
compete.
Subaru they've always liked to call it. Tom Dahl, back when Tom Dahl was running Subaru, always called the Subaru dealer council the living room. And it was that we're in the living room now. And in the living room, we can talk like family, we can talk like friends, and it really was that feel. And because of it, we solved a lot of problems and we solved a lot of issues with Subaru. And it's one of the reasons Subaru's gone from selling 170,000 cars in 2008 to 800,000 now.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Miller, CEO of Mark Miller Subaru, absolute blast having you on. You should come out to our open house Monday, Fort Wayne Subaru. Come on out, join us.
Let me check my schedule.
Check your
I just
schedule.
opened a brand new building in Salt Lake as well. We're doing our grand opening in November. I'll invite you out.
Where was my invite?
Perfect.
Come on, I
Well,
want an invite to this thing.
In November, we'll have you out.
I'll be there.
You're on the invite list.
We appreciate you being on the show, and in any case, we'll see you at the Chase meeting in December. So
absolutely, thank
great
you guys.
to have you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Fun conversation about all things Subaru and retail, one price versus versus negotiation. I'd love to have somebody come on who would say, "Hey, one price is challenged. I prefer negotiating, and here's why." So if you have that viewpoint and you're a dealer, we'd love to have you on in the next few days as a counterpoint to that. Because if one price was the gold standard and it was clearly the way to go for consumers and retailers, everybody would do it. And I'm just curious, not everybody has, including yours truly, right?
I mean, to people's detriment, though, the one thing getting in the way would be an OEM incentivizing, volume, which obviously we're all chasing volume, but any type of stair-step program would immediately impede something like this working, right? You have no choice.
Yep. All right, let's talk Toma. Most voice AIs frustrate consumers and waste everyone's time. Only Toma customizes AI agents to your dealership, so calls actually get resolved. That's why top dealers trust Toma to automate their phones. Visit toma.com/CDG to learn more. And actually, you can go to the QR code there to learn more about it. And I don't know, can Toma create a Shaq voice AI or a Sam or Yuli voice AI? Or a CDG car dealership guy. I don't know. We'll see. But we appreciate Toma. Thanks for sponsoring today's content, supporting the show today, and bringing conversations like we just had with Jeff Walters, which was awesome. So, all right, now let's turn to our head of editorial at CDG News, Anna Del Villar, who I just lost my thing here. Who's going to share with us some of the latest data and insights as to why and how dealership used car acquisition strategies are changing. Anna, welcome to the show. Anna, you got me. You got me with the phonetic spelling of your last name. All right, give us your last name because I obviously butcher it every time. Go for it.
Well, do you want the American way or do you want the real way?
Ooh, let's go the real way. We prefer fully authentic and correct. What's the real way?
Yes. So my last name is Cuban and it's pronounced Del Villar. So it's that double L is a Y, and give it a little trill on the end there.
I love it. Del Villar. I'm gonna mix a little bit of Ruski into that, and I'll get it correct. So, well, we appreciate you coming on. Thanks for catching me on that. That was awesome. So, what do you have for us today in the research on used cars?
Yeah, you kind of teed it up here, but used car pipelines just continue to transform, and part of the reason why that we see is that wholesale values are just staying stubbornly high. Although values were mostly flat over month over month in August, according to Manheim, non-seasonally adjusted values appreciated more than expected. They were up 1% month over month and 1.8% year over year, primarily due to elevated used car demand, high new car prices, and pandemic production shortfalls that continue to pinch that late model supply. On top of that, used EVs are reporting the strongest wholesale price gains of any segment as federal tax credits gear up to expire. Those price gains are up 0.8% month over month and up 4.6% year over year. Now, after those tax credits go away, we expect values will likely come back down to earth, especially considering that EV lease returns are expected to surge 230% in 2026 per JD
wow.
Power.
Wow.
Yes. And, while wholesale auctions obviously provide a good stopgap when dealers are low on inventory, more and more operators are telling us that it's still not quite enough to reconcile supply with demand. So dealers out there are taking some creative approaches to source high quality used cars. The dealer Alex K-Spear is basically turning every single one of his employees into a used car scout. He spiffs employees around $600 if they get a lead that ends up in the purchase of a car. And we also have dealers like Joel Bossum of Eastern's Automotive, who's using CarMax's online appraisal tool as a pricing guide. It's not exactly a new or unique approach, but in 2025, as competition intensifies, this is becoming more and more popular. In fact, dealers are looking beyond kind of those traditional wholesale value measurements in a lot of different ways to increase conversion. And, bottom line, I think, obviously used car supply will eventually come back. And I think the smart operators today are building those highly diversified, scalable sourcing pipelines today in preparation for that market eventuality, in the future. So, that's not an exhaustive list of all the ways dealers are sourcing used cars. And if our readers would be interested in maybe a bigger, more comprehensive document on that, shoot us an email and let us know. We're constantly looking for that kind of stuff.
Anna Anna Del Villar. That is awesome information. Thank you for sharing that. The one that is interesting to me is you think about the cost of acquisition at auction and then the cost of recon. There's auction fees, which are expensive. Recon is expensive. I love the idea of paying every single employee a bird dog or a spiff to go out and source used cars. Here's the challenge is I think so many dealers, retailers, Jeff, are concerned to do that because they're like, hey, how do we track it? How do we make sure they get paid? Maybe the employee gets frustrated because they brought something in and they didn't get paid on it. I would love you to do some research on how many dealers really are paying their employees from a proactive standpoint. How do they actually do it? How do they make sure like they're paying it? And then how do they give credit if 2 or 3 different employees come in? Because I think ultimately your employees are those that are in the community. They're engaging with customers, with people out in the world. And whether that customer comes in and buys or not, what a great way to bring new faces into the dealership and create a relationship. But it's a strategy that could quickly turn sour if it's not executed well, Anna.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And I reached out to Alex to find out a few more details and I'm waiting to hear back. But Alex, if you're watching the show, reach out to me. I'd love some more info.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Anna, thanks for being on, sharing the perspective. We look forward to hearing what you have next week for us.
Thanks,
Great.
Anna.
Thanks, guys.
That's fun. How do you make sure that every employee gets paid if you have a $600 spiff out there for bringing in used vehicles, and then maybe it's a lesser expensive used car, maybe it needs some recon. It still is from a cost standpoint more efficient and effective than having to go to auction and buying something that was in a rental fleet. The history on that car. You're buying it from the owner. And then you create a relationship with somebody that loves the fact you bought a car from them. I just think it's a great way to go.
Plus, it's such a minimal thing. You've implemented how many thousands of rules in your lifetime in the car business? We're car guys after all. You play by the rule, not the exception.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I love it. A couple comments. Retail My Ride says dual path equals free inventory plus doubles conversion rate. We buy and we consign. That's an ad, I do believe. So there, you got me. Retail My Ride. We pulled it through. I thought it was a comment on used car acquisition. Maybe it is. I don't know. Who knows? All right. Next up, we turn to our next guest today. And again, make sure you keep the commenting on social media live. We turn to Matt Leone, CEO of DriveCentric. Matt, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here, guys.
Hey, Matt.
Thanks for having me on.
We're excited to have you here, and you've got some news for us today, so we're excited to get to the news. But before we get to that, how's biz? And as part of that, give us a little bit of your background and your company, what you do.
Yeah, sure. This was great. I've been here about 100 days now, so I just took over as CEO of DriveCentric. There were 3 co-founders here. They're still very much with the business, but they were looking for somebody to step in and help continue to grow DriveCentric. It's had really explosive growth over the last few years, and we're on a great journey. And my background was I came from Automotive Mastermind. My last 5 years was with that company as CEO. And they were a data company. It's part of our kind of announcement here that we wanted to share was, we built out a strategic partnership with them. And so, it's linking 2 different companies together. But for those that aren't familiar with DriveCentric, we're a CRM engagement platform. We drive dealer operations. We pride ourselves in engagement, customer support, and we really were a pioneer in AI. I think we were 2018, it rolled out our first Genius product. So it's a company that's had really, really explosive growth, but we're primarily in the CRM space.
We needed to have you on our CEO roundtable for AI last Friday. We missed out on that. We'll get you on the.
Wish I was there. Yes,
we'll
yeah.
get you on the next round on that. So, what does a strategic partnership mean? This is unusual in all of automotive because you haven't acquired each other. You're just partnering. Is that right?
That's exactly right. But a lot of companies integrate with CRMs, and particularly legacy CRMs. And usually the frustration is you're dealing with traditional workflows, task management systems, and nobody likes to have a task management and workflow system. So when DriveCentric was created, it was really to go after a modern engagement way to engage with your sales team, your BDC, and your consumers. So if we eliminate the idea of a workflow and we really think about what is a CRM, as a customer relationship management platform, why do we have workflows? And what ended up happening was all these integrations that are out there, and we have thousands of integrations into DriveCentric, and we suck in all these leads. We weren't getting leads from every source, though, particularly my old company, Mastermind. Those weren't really high quality leads. They create demand in the market, whether it's conquest or loyalty or service retention. Those leads, the demand that they were generating, the marketing they were doing, the consumer outreach they were doing, the engagement they were doing, would basically just plop into a traditional CRM as notes. And not only does a salesperson not want to look at tasks and workflow, they certainly don't want to dig through a bunch of notes. And as the CEO of Mastermind, when I was there, we integrated with every major CRM except for DriveCentric. DriveCentric was the only one that didn't have an integration plan. Well, I tried very hard when I was at Mastermind to integrate with DriveCentric, and they just kept saying, we'll get to you. But DriveCentric was off creating a different way of approaching the platform. And they were off with their founders really heads down, creating this way where leads can flow in, the AI can take over, it could be a co-pilot with the sales team, and we can manage that process all the way through with a combination of AI and the salesperson. The integration was, we're not prepared to have a level of integration with a Mastermind if we don't want it just to be dumped into notes. And they knew that would be a horrible experience. So that's why they were saying no. When I switched over and I became DriveCentric CEO, I was like, well, we really want to open up the partner ecosystem. We have an API. What if we were to do the highest level of strategic integration here, where we're not just passing notes and creating a lead? What if we were able to take all that great data from Mastermind and Polk Automotive and Market Scan and Carfax and have that flow into our Genius product, into our AI product, hygiene data, clean, enriched data. So I could get vehicle owner information, I could get Stu's data, I could get all the data I knew I had at Mastermind into DriveCentric to power our Genius product, but also have that data flow in to augment our leads to be able to empower, so I could see who that customer was, what they got for marketing, how often they interact with that engagement of that marketing, and have all that in the customer card. So now as a salesperson, I could see all that history, no matter where it came from, and I could know I could trust my AI engine that's using really good, high quality data from a Mastermind.
So isn't that just a good integration, though? I mean, other CRMs have integrations from lead providers that are equal to it. I can think of CDK and Reynolds and some of the others. What makes this unique and worthy of touting the partnership?
You're right. It's just a higher quality integration. However, a lot of high quality integrations that just simply use an API is usually one direction. In this situation, we want to be able to have it both directions, where what will end up happening is, in order for the Mastermind algorithm and the behavior prediction scores that they drive to get smarter, They need to be able to understand what actually happened. Did this deal close? Did it not? And so there's a bi-directional strategic alignment to make their product better and our product better. But even further, if you're a joint customer, the strategic partnership is this shouldn't cost anything. We're just using data, first party, third party, zero party data, to make the industry better, to make the ultimate goal both companies had, which was help dealerships sell more cars. So from a strategic lens, it's got to be both ways. There's got to be value on both sides. And from a strategic lens, it's got to be something where the consumer, the dealership themselves isn't saddled with, hey, have another fee to deal with, another cost.
So Matt, are you able to quantify some sort of an impact on close rate or efficiency of dollars spent in digital advertising back to that bi-directional? Because I think that is unique. Very few digital lead providers will come into a CRM and then push it back. And we get asked a lot from different lead providers, hey, if you'll provide us additional info, we can help you figure out what works, what doesn't. And we don't typically do that because what's in it for us, right? Like at the end of the day, they're going to spin the data the way they want to spin it. Can you quantify the impact of that, the bi-directional?
If you give me a little bit of time, I can. We launched the partnership last week. We have it in beta testing right now. I've been here 100 days. I think what'll end up happening is by Q4 and certainly before NADA, we'll have this fully in production. But I think we're going to be able to take that even a step further, right? Where I'll just use other lead sources, listing companies. Let's pick one. Carfax is a sister company to Mastermind.
Yeah.
If I look at how many leads come into DriveCentric, which we know by dealership, by month, what kind of leads come in, they're all tagged to something, but it's how it was tagged at that dealership. But ultimately, where did that journey start? Where did it really start from? Did they go to Carfax.com and look up a car and then jump into a dealership website and then jump into a lead into Mastermind from a dealership's website? We really want to be able to hone in on that and be able to say, hey, we know where this originated from. In Mastermind's case, this is pretty clean because they're not creating leads, they're creating demand. These are people about to be in market. So before they click a website, before they're shopping, Mastermind is way early in funnel. And so we are pretty confident that they're predicting something 90 days out, maybe 120 days out, as somebody's about to enter market before they're in the market. And if we can bifurcate that, then we can show the further you go up to engage with those consumers, and not just your lease retention, but any consumer that has a reason why they might be in market. It could be household demographic reasons. It could be, car accident history reasons that they might be coming into market. That's really powerful. And if we could triangulate that back, not only can we say, here's what's working and what's not working, we can double down on some of our AI investment and say, hey, we know we're going to hone in on certain high quality leads or demand that comes in and let the AI engine really supercharge that instead of relying on a salesperson. But we can kind of fine tune our AI using some of this data as well.
So Matt, do you think that bi-directional nature of the integration that gives you some additional insights on sourcing and whatnot, do you think that will become kind of an industry standard that other lead providers and competitors will seek to do that? Or do you think you have a unique edge that makes it difficult or impossible for others to duplicate it?
Maybe I'll give you two answers to that one, which is self-serving. I think that DriveCentric is the most modern platform out there. So technically, I think we're a step ahead of what I'll call the legacy players that are out there to be able to even technically do this and do it within 90 days of a contract signing with a partnership to get it into production. But the probably more strategic answer to that would be, God, I hope so, right? I mean, the whole reason why we should be in this space of all this data, if I think about the amount of bolt-on products that are out there, the tech stack that a poor dealership has to
simplify it.
It's simplified, right? So if I think of the accounting ledger as your DMS, and if I think of the operational tool as DriveCentric to run the operations of the business, and then you have some tools like Mastermind to be able to do the marketing and the upfront funnel, and then you have a website, right? What else do I really need to run sales and marketing within a dealership? But yet you have thousands of these bolt-on products that do a little niche thing. This does this retention. This does this AI chat. This does this reception agent. This does my, chat on my website. It can all be run in DriveCentric. We don't have to have all these bolt-ons, and we're passing all this data back and forth. But if you know that data is going to the 4 or 5 tech products that you run in your operations and it's flowing bi-directional, then you can eliminate all this other noise. And that would be what I hope the industry moves to, which is tech consolidation and then strategic data sharing agreements with 4 or 5 tech providers. The DMS is going to be there. Hopefully the CRM is always part of that tech stack, and then maybe 1 or 2 other solutions.
So with this agreement, with this tech stack, with this configuration, what other providers realistically could a dealer eliminate or reduce?
Well, you have, like I said, all these bolt-on options that are there. So if you think about DriveCentric as, we have a digital retailing product, we have a reputation management product, we have an AI product, which does both BDC, sales, marketing. And you think about, from a chat perspective, we have that, but then we have the core CRM and we're doing a lot of the engagement. Do you really need a CDP? Do you really need a, bolt-on product to a CRM? Just extract data out of that CRM to do something to pump it back into the CRM. What you really want is, your repository, your accounting ledger, you want your operational engagement platform, and then you might have an agency to be able to say, I want to do some streaming, or I want to do some OTT type marketing. Great, here's the data out of DriveCentric, go do all that work. And we want to be able to open it up to allow for, here are our strategic tech stack. But if I look at a big dealer group, and I worked with a lot of these big dealer groups, it's mind-boggling how many technical solutions they have across the board, and not just in sales marketing, F&I, fixed ops, it's across the board. You're adding up to hundreds of technical solutions.
So a couple comments online from our audience. So Kurt Reinhold says, I've worked with many CRMs. I'm impressed with DriveCentric during the last few months using it. Just have to keep an eye on Shelby, the AI tool. What's Shelby doing that we need to watch out for? I think that's probably tongue in cheek, right? You need to train and work with every AI agent. So.
There's some really good AI agents out there, and there's some really good strategic partners that do a really good niche. And I think if we can bundle and integrate it in, then it's not yet another vendor and another tech stack. I think there's ways we can work with some really exciting new AI tools that are out there. But there's also a really exciting genius product within DriveCentric that could probably do most of the things that are needed out there.
So Lauren Klein also makes a comment. I'd be curious your perspective on this and why this is the case. The reality is most dealers only use a fraction of their CRM's capabilities effectively. Why is that? Whenever we have our CRM provider come in and do training, I'm astonished at how much, we kind of default to the simple, right? Instead of becoming ninjas, so to speak, of the capability. Why is it that we don't lean in more?
There's a 2-prong answer to that one, that I'm a big fan of studying history. And I've been studying the history and evolution from the 80s of a CRM and how it started and how it moved to Siebel, and then Salesforce and cloud came on, and what it was at the time. And the history of the CRM was, let's solve a big pain point. Sometimes our sales team is lazy, and so let's put a workflow in front of them and a task management system, and then let's put reporting so the manager knows what they're doing, and then let's help them engage with emails and text. And that's really the 80s going into the 90s up into the early 2000s. And CRM was pigeonholed as this sales tool to make them more efficient. And I think if you knew that history, you could say, okay, well, why isn't it really used? Well, at the end of the day, again, nobody really likes to be told what to do. Here's your task, wake up every day, click all these things. And so I think DriveCentric's approach to this was, let's make it fun to use DriveCentric. Let's make it engaging. And then let's wrap AI so that when things slip through the cracks, the Genius product can handle it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to say, we're always on and we're always helping. So if something isn't being done, somebody calls out sick or somebody is not doing what they need to do, you've got a co-pilot with you. So now you've got a fun product to engage with that people want to engage with, that's not telling them what to do, but advising them, suggesting them, interacting with them to help them sell more cars. But then also a safety net, which is you've got an AI tool sitting right next to you that can help you either draft that text, send the email, draft the email, but also do it if you just want it auto on, or a marketing automation product that can do all the marketing for you if you want to turn that on. And if you don't, great. You will partner with whatever vendor you want us to partner with to help you on that side. But I think that's the core history of why a lot of these legacy CRMs so painful to use. We've made it painful from the 80s and 90s. We didn't simplify it for them. We didn't eliminate the pain point, which was nobody likes task.
So it requires history. The lesson of history requires a rethinking of it overall. That's part of your strategy with this alliance between DriveCentric and Automotive Mastermind. You've talked a little bit about the rollout and timeline. NADA is your big goal to make it completely functional and available to everybody. When you think about when you've been candid about changing perception, some people still think DriveCentric's a walled garden. What's the truth?
Yeah.
What would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really working hard on that. I mean, we get 15 or so partner integration requests coming in a week to open up into our API platform. So if you're a vendor listening to this or want to integrate with us, just go to drivecentric.com, go to our partner program, sign the form and say, here's what I want to do as my use case and my business case. And we will prioritize and get to as many as we can. We're focused right now on lead data, consumer data, household data, vehicle data. If you're a provider that provides that, like a Mastermind out there, we need that flowing into DriveCentric. We absolutely aren't a walled garden there. I think where the walled garden concept came in is, well, I want the data to flow out to ABC application, which is a bolt-on to a CRM on the traditional side. And when I think about that, I say, well, yes, there are use cases we want the data to flow back out to, especially things like agencies, et cetera. But those ones we're going to have to work through and figure out what is sort of in the realm of something we already can do. And you're now breaking a process versus something that is truly unique and different that we do need to feed the data back into. In a case like Mastermind, we're enhancing their product by feeding back some data to help with the algorithms. And those are the types of partnerships we're looking to build out rapidly. And yes, we're trying to get this rolled out before NADA. In fact, we have something already with private offers. Mastermind has partnership programs through Polk that work with the OEMs to help them optimize their incentives. Audi, Mazda, Volkswagen dealerships. These are optimized incentives that are being powered by Mastermind. Well, if that data and those incentives can flow directly into an operational tool like DriveCentric, we're already in production testing that out with those types of OEMs. So a lot of this will be out well before NADA, but we're on the cusp of announcing several more partnerships and strategic partnerships, because that is definitely one of my main goals as CEO here, is get as much data flowing in to centralize it so that I can ultimately get to my goal of eliminating some of that tech stack and that burden and driving the full end-to-end operations of the dealership.
So Matt, as we wrap up here, two questions. What do you want dealers to walk away with? But also from a practical standpoint, and thinking about a dealer sitting in a dealership on top of a CRM trying to figure out how to maximize it, what advice would you give to dealers today in September of 2025 for bettering, and maybe it's not even on your product, but just bettering their CRM so they can better serve their customer? Where does Automotive get it wrong today, and what could they do better? And you know what, this is unfair because like in a minute and a half most.
Yeah, sure. So the second part of your question is, what do I think dealers get it wrong on it? Is they're looking at it from a traditional ABC of this is what a CRM does and what it's supposed to do. And I think we have to break that mold. It's only for a salesperson. I think if I can get dealers to think DriveCentric is innovating, investing, but also this shouldn't end with the sales team. You got to go into F&I. You got to be able to desk it and move it and have that engagement moved over. You got to get it into service. The engagement doesn't end in a life cycle of it. So if I could get dealerships to think DriveCentric is investing, they're opening up, they're growing, and they're on the cusp of innovation, because they think of the CRM and the engagement of consumers as not just starts here, ends here. It doesn't really make sense. And our vision is we're the engagement platform end to end, and that's what I'm hoping people can take away from this.
Matt Leone, CEO of DriveCentric, we appreciate you being on the show, sharing your perspectives and making your big announcement on the partnership that's up and coming between DriveCentric and Automotive Masterminds. Thanks for being on the show.
Matt.
Yeah, pleasure.
It's an interesting convo. We don't use CRMs to the fullest
to their
of
extent. No.
And it's going to be interesting to see as AI becomes more prolific, as we see more of it out there.
Yeah.
Like it is going to evolve. It's going to become better. And what do we need to do today to become better with that? I mean, it's interesting. So
we should have called today Ninja Day. You had two execution ninjas. One guy was a CEO of a company and left to be the CEO of another company so he could integrate with the first company.
Yeah. You know what? One of my favorite comments on Jeff and why he is a ninja and why Subaru, what he's built there. I'm familiar with that marketplace. Yeah. And I didn't want to say it in front of him because I like those three. He has 2 Subaru stores. Mm-hmm. His competitor had 1 or 2. Like they're just juggernauts. They way outpunt their competition in any other franchise, any other model. Mm-hmm. And Yeah, I thought about what he said. They've done a great job of banding together as Subaru dealers and selling a higher percent of Subarus in that market than the market probably should sell. And Subaru has a great name in that market, not because there's mountains, but because they've built that brand there. So props to them. And you know, I think it is a little bit of a masterclass on how to do that, how to align as OEMs and output your competition. Well, that wraps us for today. Until next Friday. Yuli, thank you.
This Friday.
This Friday. And for our entire Daily Dealer Live audience, thanks for watching us, where we break down the biggest moves in the car business as they happen. Don't forget, of course, as you know, we're live here every Monday, Wednesday, and we'll be back on this Friday. So if this is your world, hit like, hit subscribe, turn on those notifications so you never miss a beat. We'll see you next episode. Thanks for being here, everybody.
See you guys.